Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Tonight, we are quickly becoming a country I don't even recognize anymore. You won't believe when I show you where we were over a year ago to where we are today, and now there's something else that's happening, and I don't see anybody on television talking about it. The principles, the bedrock principles of our country, I don't recognize either, but it starts at the administration. The principles don't match the policies, and it's time for somebody in the media to ask why. That's me tonight with you. Come on. Hello, America. I want to have a serious conversation with you tonight, and I come to you trying to figure out what's going on. I'm a stickler on things like consistency. Things have to be consistent. I mean, you either have principles or you don't. Principles. Principles. Base everything on principles. You get the policies from those principles. Okay, what were the principles that Barack Obama said that he had when he was elected? Okay? He's elected. The principles, not to, how many times did you hear this? We're going to stop just snatching people off the street. I mean, I don't ever remember us ever snatching people off the street, but apparently we were during the campaign. We were just snatching Muslims off the street. He was going to stop that. And I haven't seen it, so he must have stopped it. And everyone was going to get a fair trial. Do you remember that one? Got to have a fair trial. The next one was right to privacy. You have a right to privacy. This government is out of control. Next one was no interrogation techniques. Basically, no torture or anything. Don't even ask a hard question. Don't keep the lights on too long. Let them take a nap. And the last one was no war. They're going to stop the war. No war. Okay? Those were the ideas. Fair trial, privacy, interrogation techniques, and no war. Okay. Those were the principles. So what were the policies? Well, not snatching people off the street and fair trial. Can't hold terror suspects indefinitely. They wanted to close Guantanamo Bay. Okay, these match. I could say your principles match your policies. Great. Right to privacy. Match. No warrantless wiretaps. That's what they were going for. Third one, no interrogation techniques. That's ensure basic rights. I think this one and this one kind of match. Can't hold people, terror suspects. You got to close Guantanamo. Because what were we doing in Guantanamo? We're asking tough questions and leaving the lights on. You have basic rights. Interrogation techniques. When do you think that happens? Last one was no war. They said they were going to stop the war. This is where they got really weaselly. We're going to stop the war. No war. We're going to end it right away. Well, they did. They just stopped calling it. It's what progressives always do. They just called it an overseas contingency plan. War? What war? No. It's a plan, not a war. Okay. This board, I understand. I think you're weaselly. I think the wiretap thing didn't happen, but I think you're weaselly, but I get it. I get it. Okay. That's politics in America the way it normally happens. Now, let me show you some things that don't match. Because remember, these are our principles. This is what Obama said his principles were. Something's wrong. And I need you to figure out why. Let's start at the beginning. We're against snatching people off the street in a fair trial, right? How does that match with what's happening today? Not a lot of people have seen this yet. Let me show you the person we just nominated for Supreme Court Justice, Elena Kagan. Now, people don't know an awful lot about her because, I mean, she doesn't have a deep catalog of writing. She wasn't a judge before. Not a problem. Some people have a problem with that, but this is a new thing that everybody was a judge. You can't count on the media to investigate, so maybe you should. Because I see in the media, these are the hard-hitting facts that we know about Kagan. Here they are. Watch.
Her interests reflect her openness. She loves softball and poker.
Accomplished poker player, opera lover, and given that nickname that Justice Marshall gave to her, she's 5'3".
Okay, so she loves softball and poker. I don't know what that means to you and me. I'd like to see the media maybe spend a little more time looking into some of the things and some of the things that she said. For instance, how about this answer to a question at her confirmation hearing for Solicitor General? Watch carefully.
When you talk about the physical battlefield, if our intelligence agency should capture someone in the Philippines that is suspected of financing Al-Qaeda worldwide, would you consider that person part of the battlefield, even though we're in the Philippines, if they were involved in Al-Qaeda activity? Holder said, the Attorney General said, yes, I would. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay. In her testimony, she's talking about if someone is suspected of financing terror. We're talking about the definition of the battlefield. Now the battlefield has moved someplace else. It's moved over here to the Philippines, he says. Well, what about Nebraska? Suspected of financing. Not guilty, not proven. Suspected of funding Al-Qaeda. That means you could be declared an enemy combatant and treated the same as Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, you know, the hairy back guy that we waterboarded. If you were suspected of funding terrorists. Wow, I think we've come a long way here with this new justice and Eric Holder. We've come a long way from when Obama wanted to make sure we had terror trials right here in New York City with a hairy back guy. Okay, so we now have, you can hold a suspect without trial. A suspect. If we suspect them, you can hold them without trial. Okay, great. Now let's try number 2. Right to privacy. I don't see anybody reporting on this, and it disturbs me. The DOJ right now is arguing in court that if you want privacy, you better go someplace else. You don't have a privacy of location, which means they can track you wherever you are. Where's Glenn Beck? He's in the studio at Fox. How do you know? He has his cell phone on him. Your cell phone can be triangulated. You have no right to, or no reasonable right to privacy of location, they say. They say you have no reasonable expectation of privacy in your own email. What does this mean? This means that they can track you or read your email without a warrant. Help me out on this principle, because they were against they said no warrantless wiretaps. Right to privacy. No warrantless wiretaps. Now, our policy, apparently, is that they can read, track, without warrant. Third one. Attorney General Eric Holder is now coming out and saying that we should make exceptions when to apply Miranda rights to people. Here he is.
We're now dealing with international terrorism, and I think that we have to think about perhaps modifying the rules that interrogators have and somehow coming up with something that is flexible and is more consistent with the threat that we now face. We want to work with Congress to come up with a way in which we make our public safety exception more flexible and, again, more consistent with the threat that we face.
Okay. Notice he said international terrorism, but Miranda rights came up because of a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen. So, why do you want to not Mirandize somebody? Why is that important? Because you can use interrogation techniques before you Mirandize them. You don't have to give them an attorney. They're not going to talk. You can make them talk. What do you think? They're going to have a cake for a few hours before we Miranda? Yeah, we're just going to let you sit here for a while in a nice, cool, comfortable... Are the lights too bright? You think that's what's happening? They don't want to read Miranda rights to citizens. How does that fit with this principle? It doesn't. It doesn't. And it's all on an if. No Miranda rights if you're suspected. And war. No war. Is there a war going on? Well, yeah, there is. I think there's two things. I think there's a war and there's an overseas contingency plan. Maybe the other one is a war. Maybe it's just a, in-nation contingency plan. We all talk about Al-Qaeda, but these principles aren't fitting with what they've demonstrated in their principles and in their actions in the past. Nothing is consistent here. Something's not right. Last week, I couldn't believe that that answer that I gave on Fox last week about Miranda rights, that was off the top of my head. I just got up. I was up for about 20 minutes while I did this episode. And even the founder of Tides, remember that? The really shady organization that I'm like, Run for your life. It's Drummond Pike. Drummond Pike wrote this, Why I Love Glenn Beck. He says, Beck has just done the right thing and he deserves praise even from his rhetorical enemies. Are you kidding me? It's Tides. I mean, I read that and I'm like, I should rethink this whole thing. Jon Stewart, the Huffington Post, MSNBC. They all said that I was the voice of reason in all of this. Watch.
This next clip's gonna hurt me as much as it's gonna hurt you, Chuck. Roll tape of someone being far more reasonable about reading the suspect his Miranda rights, please.
He has all of the rights under the Constitution.
Right. We're seeing people like most notably today, Glenn Beck, a host on Fox News Channel, saying actually it's important that these suspects are read their Miranda rights. We can't shred the Constitution.